pull out. So I have to tell you that there was a Truce Commission on 13 February 1956, where three things were recommended by the UNO regarding Kashmir. To tell you, when I went through the Google to search that document, I was shocked to see the document was vanished from the net itself. So how do we say whether it was 3,000 or 50,000 when such a Truce Commission, such an important document vanishes? So what matters whether it was 3,000 or 5,000? Actually, there is an issue and it has to be resolved. And then when we talk about when he was even saying that the children have been feeding in their minds that India is our enemy, or they have been told. It is not that they have been told, they witness themselves every day. Last year only we had a killing of 114 children. They were under 18. They were killed by the army operations. So that doesn't mean that the number counts. The counting is that a mother lost a child from her lap. That matters. And nothing has been done till today. Neither the administration, neither the media, I'm sorry to say, has done anything about that. And then first of all, we are first struggling for our identity in Kashmir, because we are asked to show our identity card in our valley, where we belong to those people who have come from outside. So we are in a struggle for our identity. And the first and the foremost thing which is very much important when we resolve for the solution in Kashmir is that the solution, we are not even taken as the stakeholders. When we talk about Kashmir solution, or when we talk that the Kashmir has to be resolved, the solution has to be sorted out, there the two countries come into players, the Pakistan and the India. Where is the Kashmir? Who is the most sufferer? Who is the real sufferer? Where the suffering lies? So first we are the ones who have to be taken as the stakeholders. The solution has to be sorted out according to the requirement of Kashmiris, not according to the choice of Pakistan or India. So first and the foremost thing is that the people who are representing media have to take out those real pains and pathetic situation which is in Kashmir. They do not have to rule out according to whether they are they are supporting the separatist lobby or whether they are supporting the mainstream lobby. They put news according to their choices. But what actually is happening, to tell you gentlemen, there were a lot of these suppressions and a lot of problems with lot of families, turmoil families who have been suffering for past 20 years. They have 1 lakh burials are there, 50,000 women, there are half widows who are there, and no media is covering that. I believe when you talk about Kashmir, then these situations, these problems have to be highlighted by media. Thanks.
After all, life is important, whether it's 3,500 or 350. But in his defense, he's now sitting here, I would like to say that it's extremely important for media people to know the number. I mean, at times, there is, I'm not saying that you would minimize it or you would, go out of the way to prove that it is actually less than stated. It's not important, but I think it's quite important to have some kind of documentation so that one, you are taken seriously, and also it's quite easy to create documentation. I saw during Gujarat riots in 2002 that I was quite aghast that there was just one list of people which was going around, and you ask any NGO, Gujarat has probably more per capita NGOs every mile than any other state. But you had the same list. Everybody was using the same list. Nobody wanted to do the hard work of actually creating a new list or saying. So as a result, whenever I would go to a village, I would find a lot of discrepancies with that list. So I would say that it's actually not difficult. For the media, it might be actually difficult. But for people's organizations and citizens forums, public hearing, if you hold a public hearing, now what is an affidavit? An affidavit is a paper on which you basically write that this is what happened with me, and then somebody puts a seal on that. And it's so easy to get that seal. How about creating people's affidavits? You have public hearing, where people come and I think a great job has been done by some of the human rights organizations in Punjab, that now we have the number. So, I mean, my feeling is that somehow the civil society organizations and citizens forums are not doing their job. I mean, nobody can say that this is your job, you do it. But somehow they become lazy or they become complacent and they very uncritically take numbers from here and there, I think it's very important for them to get the numbers right. And I think for media, it is quite important. I mean, if I believe as a media person or if I'm an editor, my reporter comes to me and says that the southern real number is actually 350 and not 8,000, then I think it is a news story. But at the same time, you can't bring a closure to this for the simple reason that you saw in Punjab that the real number, actually there are various ways of using documentation in which, a great example is the crematorium numbers in Punjab, where actually no questions were asked, just a name is written. And in fact, in many cases, even the name and father's name in village is also written, because they had some idea of, there was some, it seems he was this. I mean, in many cases in crematorium records, they were not enforcing some of those things. So I think somehow, I think it's quite important to have the number. Otherwise, the state dismisses civil society organizations, and you are also not able to kind of hold your ground. So the second thing is that just a small comment to what Mazhar Saab was saying about, you say that you are a democracy, you don't give us democratic rights. I think nobody is going to give anybody democratic rights. We have to take them. The Punjabi the system will also start taking you seriously. Unless, we are in the business of changing the society through the barrel of the gun, I think that's a different thing altogether. But I think this is the only democratic system, is the only hope that we have. And I think quite a lot is visible around us, so we can make use of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Containment of India, you focused on containment in India. And I was a little surprised, because my understanding is that actually India is part of engaging in a military strategic alliance with the United States and NATO countries for containment of China. So I'm a little confused when you talk about containment of India. And if you could elaborate on that, that would be useful, maybe during lunchtime or during some break. And Randeep, I just want to remind you that Vajayat Habibullah happened to be the Divisional Commissioner of Kashmir when Lan Pushpura took place. And both in his report as well as his book which has come out, he has been very categoric that there was rape which had taken place. And his was the first important authoritative confirmation of that, and I think that should be kept in mind. And I think Rita has already elaborated on the PG Varghese thing. One last point I want to make is that when you talk about the figures, let me also tell you, it would have been very interesting actually if you had also brought in figures that have been touted on the floor of the assembly. Any statement given on the floor of an assembly is supposed to be sacred, and any lie becomes a breach of privilege. I mean, in the English parliamentary practices. On the floor of the assembly, you've had different figures about the disappeared. 3,900 of Mufti Saab, 3,000, 1,000 to Ghulam Nabi Azad, 600. And Omar Abdullah, 60. So, I mean, you have all kind of figures that are floating around, even from the authorities themselves. And that too on the floor of the assembly. And I think it would have been interesting, because this also, the higher figures, as Rita also pointed out, that with the mass grave issue which was done by the civil society group and has been validated to a large extent by the State Human Rights Commission, with the order to look at these unidentified graves in Rajouri and Puch, where the numbers are going to climb up to more than 6,000. I mean, this is just from 5 districts. There might be a correlation between those who have disappeared. Might be. I'm saying there is some basis to believe that the mystery of the disappeared might lie buried actually in these mass graves. And that brings me to the last thing that I wanted. I mean, in the entire presentations that we have had, I was surprised that there was very little attention paid to the role of military suppression, the counterinsurgency in prolongation of conflicts. And this I find is a very startling, I mean it's a shocking absence. I mean when we are talking about Kashmir or you're talking about Operation Green Hunt in 9 states of central India or Manipur or Naga areas and all, we have to take into account the counterinsurgency doctrine, the perception management attempt, which is also part of the counterinsurgency doctrine, which goes deliberately at management of perceptions of people and local population through coercion as well as allurements of various kinds. This is also been, I mean, this also plays its own role in prolongation of conflict. And the final thing I want to make is, when one talks about, I mean, this is a general question, that when one talks about how local perceptions get formed, I think one question that comes to my mind is, why is it that the Indian narrative has so few takers? You get my point? I mean, it's one thing to say that it gets strengthened, identity and things like that. That is not an entire explanation, I'm afraid. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves a fundamental question, that why is it that the Indian official narrative is not accepted in these conflict areas? By and large, there are people who would accept it, but by and large they don't.
I think this is somewhere reflective of the problem of discussing Kashmir, because if you listen carefully, I started off by saying that, you know, the greatest thing the State Human Rights Commission has done is ask them to reinvestigate the case, because it should be investigated. My attempt was not to, say no rape took place here, or my attempt was to just try and reflect the problems, one, of working as a reporter or as a journalist, two, also as a consumer of news, because, you know, I've lived there for a year now. A lot of things that I thought held true do not. So when you talk about numbers are not important, either you come out and say, look, people have disappeared, the number is not important. If you have a problem, are you trying to tell me that 350 people have disappeared and that's not a big number? You think if it's only 350, then it's okay? That was not my attempt. My attempt was to try and address the issue that it's not a political debate. You know, I said, Colonel Pashpara, this happened. I think Rita take it out. No, the official report said they were giggling. But this isn't a seminar or in a television studio. What happens is, when you are consuming that news, either according to your inclination, either you take her version, or take the government version. But these are very important things. That 20 years on, so many people have visited that village. It's not about if 5 women were raped and that's okay. No, because the official narrative now is nothing ever took place. They're all lying. Because you do not investigate properly, because this entire thing becomes a debate. You move seamlessly from one to the other, because 300, they had 350, but the State Assembly said 3,000. Then I could come back with a rejoinder, but hey, 3,000 still less than 8,000. That's not the point. The point is, when I did the story that there are 350 names, I did the story because I was surprised that what the hell have you been doing, attending seminars and conferences. Kashmir is not a big place. This is the Kashmir Valley. It's 150 by 50 kilometers. A lot of people who don't live in Kashmir don't realize how actually small the valley is. I remember one day I was driving to Sopore and I got a call from my office and they said, okay, how many days will you be back in? Because they look at that map and say Sopore is some mountain. It's 45 kilometers away from Srinagar. You can go in, have lunch or meet somebody and come back. All about 4 or 5 hours. Now this is the perception. So if you actually want to have a reasoned debate, for that reasoned debate you need to, there needs to be some groundwork. People mentioned Gujarat. Kashmir also has hundreds of seminars, NGOs, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, these stories that come up, there is no proper investigation. It does not matter, if 5 women got raped or 50 or 53, absolutely. But in when all these stories come out, it's easier for the state or for anyone else to, pick a hole in your argument, because that's what it's been reduced to, an argument between two people, two opposing sides. Now, what is the situation of those women in that village? If X number of rapes took place, they have not gotten justice, and justice not getting a 2 lakh rupee compensation, or being written about in the Times of India, those people who did it should be punished. That's one. Two, if it is all some farce, there are entire generations. This happened in 1991. There are boys who come and work in Sri Lanka. They don't mention the village they're from. They're living with that shit. Even if 2 women got raped and somebody thought fit to say no, it's 40. So you made that brownie point. You've been written about in books and articles. But what about those people who live there? And essentially, it is about those people who are suffering through this. You're talking about disappeared. If the figure is 3,000 or 2,000, and you just focus on that, and as the years go by, you investigate it further and actually add more information to that case, then you can get them justice. What you keep doing is, we keep shifting the argument, and at the end of the day, everybody goes back, happy. We sit in a seminar, this guy makes one point, I make another point, but all these issues, these are people who are missing their family members. Somebody's son got picked up. Praveena Angar, who runs APDP, her son was picked up. She doesn't even know where his body is. Now, instead of focusing on that, what we try and get into is this cat fight. This is not a political platform, self-determination, but are you suggesting? And when I was talking about these issues, I said this. I read the story, the reaction from a lot of people was, you're trying to pick holes in this narrative. That was not the attempt. The attempt was to get some idea. It's an education living in Kashmir when you deal with these things. It's an education when you go to this, Kanun Pashpura, and actually talk to people and you take a walk in that village. It's an education because you can read it in print, you can watch some fuzzy video clip, but when you actually walk in that village, you get an idea of what actually happened and how much snow was there, how far is that police station. Otherwise there's statistics. The nearby police station can be 500 meters away, it can be 5 kilometers away, that's also nearby. The fact that there were 2 policemen with that army team and, the policemen were coerced. But out of those 4 policemen, 2 were from that village. So, I'll give you an example, and this is a story I did out of Sopore. There is a gentleman called Abdullah Unni, and this is how narratives get destroyed, and what gets destroyed, and this is the perfect example. There's a gentleman called Abdullah Unni, who was the top commander of the Lashkar in North Kashmir. He had evaded, I think, 10 attempts to get him, and he was an ID expert. Then about a month and a half ago, this man is shot dead 100 meters from the SP's office in the local RR unit. And the next day, what is the story that comes out? The story comes out, I remember one newspaper headline in Delhi, "Daredevil artist undone by luck." So Abdullah Unni is this dashing Lashkar commander, and he falls in love with a Kashmiri girl, gets married to her, and then the girl delivers a child. He goes to her house at night because he's been called back to Pakistan to have this one last glimpse of his daughter. And of course the police are keeping watch on his wife. He comes out of the house, they corner him, and it was a scene out of Butch Cassidy in the Sundance Kid. Rather than put them in harm's way, he takes out a pistol. He's not even armed, he's coming quietly, right? And he walks into the masked guns of the Indian army and is killed. Now then there was stone pelting and curfews. I went to Sopore a week later, because for 5 days you just couldn't enter Sopore. I went and I met the army guy. They said, it was a massive fight, this, that. Then I met the police fellows, massive fight. Then this colleague of mine and we tracked down. I said, let's go to the girl's house. So we walk in, and it is, these people are dirt poor. We walk in, the father of the house, he's deranged, so he's walking around mumbling to himself. We are ushered into this room, and this lady and this little girl are sitting. So we start talking to them, and there's a conversation going on in Urdu and Kashmiri. So after a while, I say to this girl who's sitting with the mother, I said, "Aap kitne bhai behen?" So she speaks good Urdu. She's like, "Hum 4." Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm like, "Aapki didi ka to bahut bura haal ho." So she's like, "Kaun didi?" I said, "Aapki badi behan," because this girl is 16 years old. So she's like, "Main hi sabse badi." So that it is at that moment we realize that that gentleman's wife is this 16-year-old girl. Okay, we start talking to her now, pay more attention to her, because earlier we were trying to talk to the mother and I was just making conversation. So tea is made for us and we are having tea. And after 10-15 minutes I said, "Look, I feel uncomfortable because she was married to this man, he's been shot dead in her house a week, from the day I'm talking to her." And I said to her, "Aap jaiye, aap aaram kariye, aap kariye." She said, "No, I'm okay." And I said, "Nahi, aapki beti तो है, उसका तो ध्यान रखना है." तो she said, "कौन बेटी?" I said, "आपकी तो आपके वो शौहर नहीं थे?" She said, "हाँ." I said, "आपकी बेटी है, उसको देख." She said, "नहीं, वो बेटी जनवरी में हुई थी, लाल दहल हॉस्पिटल श्रीनगर में उसको डिलीवर का, अगले दिन उसको कोई उठा के ले गया." And you have no idea how shocked and astonished I was when I heard this from this girl. This girl was sitting there clutching a teddy bear talking to me. She's in that age group. Then the story comes out. Father used to run he used to deal in used soft drink bottles. He had a small shop. 4 years ago, there's a neighboring house. They are Milton sympathizers. They told him one night that, would you house 4-5 guys for the night? There was a police raid, the militants escaped, police picked him up, beat him up. Next time there's an encounter, this is in 2009, there's an encounter in that area, somebody tells the police, this is the guy who helped militants in this encounter as well. 3 army guys were killed. He's picked up, the PSA is imposed on him and he's sent to Udhampur jail. This girl goes to school, she's the eldest, they have no money. Abdullah Oni starts coming to their house, ostensibly look after them or send money. Now this girl is, at that time, she's in class 9, she's 15 years old, her father is in Udhampur jail. They have no money coming in. This guy is a mujahid, he's a dashing guy, he always comes armed with 4-5 men with him. He gives her a mobile phone and tells her that I can't come home to visit you because it's very close to the SP office, but you can come and visit me. This girl starts, going to meet him, she gets pregnant. Her father is in jail, mother doesn't realize, mother only realizes when she, becomes visibly pregnant. What is the impact on this girl? She immediately stops going to school. She's kept inside the house. When delivery time comes, she's put in a sumo, taken to Srinagar, she delivers the kid is sold off to somebody, she comes back. Now she can't go to school. Abdullah Oni was killed as part of some secret operation. He was brought there and killed because they wanted to spin this story. Abdullah Oni was not killed in that house in Butch Cassidy, Sundance Kid style. No, he was picked up from X place, brought to this place and shot in the head. Single shot to the head. There was no encounter, no 5-hour gunfight, because that's how, when you say perception management, the day Abdullah Oni got killed, first news we heard was massive encounter in Sopor. Gunfight on. 4 top commanders. Tuck, 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 tuck. By 5 o'clock they hold a press conference, no, we've killed this man. But if you go to the spot, Abdullah Oni has been killed with a single shot to the back of his head. The point I'm trying to, I told you the story, is that forget the state narrative and perception management. This girl has been destroyed at 16. Okay. And if an army guy had come and done this to her, if a militant has done this to her, or anyone, if this story had not come out, the police would have troubled her again. We did this story, there are people who've gone and helped her. Baramulla has been adopted as some skill development center by some private company, and to help victims of militancy, because this girl is a victim, she's finished, her life is finished at 16, she doesn't have the educational skills, the social stigma. Every time there is any activity, the local Khanega will come to their house and trouble them. They'll trouble her brother as well. So when you talk about facts not coming out in numbers, in situations like Kashmir where that number is turned around and used against you, Kanun Pashpura, it's important to know how many women were raped, so that if you know how many were raped, then you can get them justice. If you can get them justice, then you get something. But the moment if 5 are raped and you keep saying 100, 70, 80, then that case collapses. What it does, those 5 women will never get justice. So it's not about scoring points in a seminar. This Human Rights Commission, whatever these reinvestigations they're ordering, that's the best thing that can happen in Kashmir, because you should know whether it's 5, 50, 55, and then you can follow it up. There is some chance of justice. Otherwise, we can discuss this in television studios.